Batman Incorporated number 13, written by Grant Morrison, art by Chris Burnham. This is the final issue of the series, and overall it's pretty basic. So, obviously last issue we had, everything coming to a head, mainly Talia showing up in like almost bat garb coming to fight Batman in the Bat Cave. This issue picks up with Gordon arresting Batman, which, if I remember correctly, was like back in issue 1 or something like that was teased. But he arrests Bruce Wayne, and Gordon's narration is like, yeah, I've known Bruce Wayne for years, like ever since the beginning of my time here in Gotham. He's a good guy. He's a fine guy. I don't see anything wrong with him, but there is some things that we need to talk about. So we see in the interrogation room, and Gordon basically is like, what happened to you? One, why are you so beat up? And he's just like, this is dangerous sports. And he's like, okay, whatever. Secondly, they blew up Wayne Tower. They brainwashed a bunch of kids. What happened? And Bruce Wayne explains, yeah, this is a problem between me and my ex. My ex happens to be Talia al Ghul, and we had a kid together. And immediately Gordon's like, you had a fling with a criminal mastermind? How does Batman feel about that? So then we cut to the continuation of the story where Talia makes her way into the cave and immediately starts stripping off all the bat gear. Like, she's still wearing her jumpsuit, but like, why would you show up if you just immediately take off all the bat stuff? But regardless, he's like, here's the thing. I gave you, and I have to say, this entire fight, while there are actual swords involved, it's mainly just a fight of words, where Talia's whole thing is, I gave you a true enemy, something that wasn't like this tiny little one-person thing that could be killed. I gave you something that is worthy of Batman, and but it's like opposite of you. There's no slogans, there's no symbolisms or anything like that. I already rule the world. This was just making it official. And Batman calls her out for killing their son. And she's like, he was grown in a jar. I could easily make another one. But regardless, they start sword fighting, and then they kiss. And as they kiss, we see all these different fights going on with Batman Incorporated members and members of Leviathan. And we see them going after the cube, the Ouroboros trigger, whatever it's called. And as they split from the kiss, he's like, poison. Luckily, I already took the antidote. And he's like, yeah, sure, I already knew you would have. So anyway, here's the thing. I've told Leviathan that if I don't return, they have to give up everything. Like, if you beat me, you win. But if I leave, then obviously I will take over the world myself. So this fight will literally be the determination of everything. So they get into a sword fight. And it's just like, oh, Wayne, Batman is dead. So they end up fighting. We see that Bruce is saying like, hey, yeah, no, something happened to my son and Talia as well. And Gordon's trying to egg him on, like trying to get an answer for things. But he's like, no, I had 2 holes in my heart when my parents were killed, but I refuse to let any more hearts form ever again. So regardless, they get into a fight. Their swords literally shatter. And it turns out that Talia laced her sword with a poison that was brand new. So Batman definitely doesn't have an antidote for it. He's like, oh, yes, I'm sorry I couldn't love you the way that you wanted me to. And so he starts succumbing to the poison, and she's like, all right, well, I'm sure something's going to save you in the nick of time. Something always does. And wouldn't you know it, what was his name? Wingman. That was it. Wingman, aka Jason Todd, comes in saying like, hey, Talia, I got the cube. I got the trigger. You free him. You give him the antidote, and I'll give it to you. And so she gives Batman the antidote and then hands over the trigger, and she goes and she presses it, and she's like, oh, this is the end of things. Bleep. And then Jason reveals like, yeah, I mean, that is the trigger, and it still did trigger, but we took down your entire network. Like, Batman Incorporated just did overtime to get rid of all the bombs in all the cities. And the only reason I gave this to you was because I owe you for, bringing me back to life and whatnot. But now I'm owing you by telling you, you gotta run, because we're gonna come after you. And Talia's like, run? How dare you think I'll run? And Batman takes the antidote, and he gets back up, and he's like, yes, we've stopped you. Next time you want to work with some weird Nazi scientist, think twice. And Talia's like, oh my God, listen to you guys. You're patronizing me. Do you honestly think this is over? Like, your Jokers and your Riddlers, they keep coming back. What makes you think I'm any different? I'm going to come up with some better plan, and I'm going to best you. It's all just a matter of time. You should have killed me when you had the chance. And as she says that, she looks up where Batman and Wingman are looking up to at this point, and there's a woman with a golden gun who shoots Talia in the head. And it turns out this is Kathy Kane. For those of you who are unfamiliar, Kathy Kane, in original continuity, pre-New 52, was the first Batwoman. But here, she is the head of the organization Spiral. And Batman's like, oh my God, I can't believe you're even alive. And she's like, I'm not. Don't come after me, Bruce. I'm not even here. So she disappears, and she's gone. And Gordon's basically like, okay, look, no one's seen Batman for days. Is he retired? And he's like, I don't know. You got to ask Batman that. And he's like, all right. Well, here's the thing. You were funding him, and he did some illegal stuff, so you are still technically liable for some things, so we're going to keep you here for a while. But then all of a sudden, someone comes in and posts bail for him, and it's just like, okay, never mind. Guess you're fine. Have a nice day, Mr. Wayne. So he makes his way out. He references 0 year because editorial wouldn't let him get away with not doing that. And he's like, yes, I'll tell Batman to give you a call. And then Gordon shows his little Batman tie clip, and he's like, oh, don't worry. I think he'll get the message. So at that point, Alfred is waiting for Bruce outside the police station and says like, sir, there's something you need to see back at home. And when they arrive, they see the 2 graves of Martha and Thomas Wayne have been dug up and the bodies are gone. So Bruce goes down into his cave, becomes Batman, and he continues to fight. And we get the narration here of all I need to know is this: Batman always comes back bigger and better, shiny and new. Batman never dies, never ends, and it probably never will. So that's the thing you get. And we see an epilogue where Ra's al Ghul, not having access to Lazarus Pit, is currently draining the blood of Lord Deadman, because I guess he has some Lazarus in his body. And he makes his way into a secret room and he says, Batman, you detective, you killed my daughter. You allowed my grandson to die. I will hound you to the end of the earth. Sons of Batman rise, as he makes his way into a room with a whole bunch of what seem to be clone Damians, all growing in vats. That's the issue. That's the end of Batman Incorporated, except for a special, which is coming out next month, which we will get to. But here's the thing. I said this since the beginning. This series never did a good job of explaining things to people who weren't around for the pre-New 52 stuff. This picked up directly from Grant Morrison's run that he was doing on Batman before all of this, going into Final Crisis and all that stuff. And I never feel like through the issues we got post New 52, a good explanation of the things that happened beforehand. As for that, that's going to handicap the total score that I can really give this, because it doesn't feel like a satisfying ending because it didn't feel like it had satisfying build-up. Yes, Leviathan was clearly a threat, but I didn't ever feel like I got the full grasp of what they were doing because I never saw that. I never got to see them. Like, they were talking about this Nazi Otto Netz. I have no idea who the hell that is. I have never met that character. When Kathy Kane shows up in this, is that a surprise? Have we already been introduced to the idea that she's been around? Batman says Bronze Tiger killed her. When was that? I don't know. It didn't do a good job of explaining that. As for this issue, it's an interesting enough, like, yes, Batman will always be around. Yeah, we've seen that ending before. It's not an awful ending, but it didn't quite hit as hard as I think it really should have, because I didn't feel like it built it up enough from what I was able to read. So I can't hold it against this issue too much, as obviously there are people who did read all of Grant Morrison's run. Maybe it works better in that regard. It just didn't for me. But I'm going to give this one in total like a 6.5. It's good. It's a fine enough issue, but it just really feels like it fell down, especially in the fact that it was told after the fact. And even then with the Martha and Thomas Wayne's being dug up, it kind of feels like that last page of Batman going around doing things with the narration was supposed to be clearing that up, but I'm not sure. So I don't even know if I'm supposed to be expecting this elsewhere. So overall, yeah, 6.5, Batman Incorporated, kind of out on a whimper.